Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Bitcoin price prediction based on Elliott wave analysis. This is the indicator analysis where we're gonna dive deeper, of course, in the RSI, MACD, the volume, and of course KGT to see how it works perfectly or the best with our Elliott wave scenarios that we saw, of course, in the deep analysis. And a quick recap for the bullish scenarios where we probably have here a double 1, 2. 3, 4, and a 5, probably finishing a wave 3 here in the yellow count, and you have a W, X, and a Y. Your wave Y has probably finished in a running flat here, and you are currently looking for a 1 and 2, of course, and 3, 4, 5 continuation toward the upside for a wave 5 in the yellow scenario. However, it is a little bit a lower possibility because, of course, as this running flat is a very weird, of course, to be finished without 5 waves toward the downside. And this, of course, lowers so much the possibility that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, another bullish scenario, it might be the W, X, and a Y. A bigger W, X, Y, where you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and bigger wave 4 here as a W, X, and a Y. Your wave Y is a kind of like of 3-wave structure. It can be finished, of course, as a zigzag, another zigzag, and another zigzag as well, or an impulse even for a wave Y here. And of course, finishing a wave 4 in the blue count here, 1, 2, 3, and then a 4 and a 5, of course, toward the upside. This is a bigger bullish scenario, of course. If you are still bullish, you have double 4, 5. However, a very low possibility again, and that because of the time required for this expanding flat or WXY regarding the wave 2 here in the blue is a very low possibility. Even if it is a wave 2 regarding the yellow count, let's say your wave 3 is here in yellow or in here in yellow, of course, and therefore this as well is a very long time regarding the wave 2 here. Time is more than 4 to 5, even 6 times, of course, which lowers so much the possibility. Therefore, the bullish has a little bit a lower possibility than the bearish scenarios, of course, which are the following. The bearish, we have, of course, one bearish scenario, which it can still be much more possible as well for the bullish by finishing, of course, here a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and finishing a wave 3 in the yellow, 1, 2, 3, and then you're still looking for a wave 4 and a 5. This WXY might be a zigzag toward the downside, another zigzag for your X, and a new zigzag for the Y here to finish a wave 4 and then moving toward the upside. So this is, of course, a high possibility where we might see, of course, a much more reasonable prices and reasonable timing for the wave 4 regarding the wave 2 here. As you can see, the time of it is related. In case we get a wave 4 here as well, it can be related as well to this wave 2 in a reasonable amount of time. And of course, this still need, of course, one more leg toward the downside, of course, to finish this wave Y in case we have zigzag, zigzag, and another zigzag. And then start to move toward the upside, possibly if we are still bullish, to be reanalyzed, of course, in this area and to estimate the situation. Now, if another scenario, which is also low possibility as well, again, a 1, 2, and then 3. Rather than WXY, you have an A, a B, and a C here, and 3 waves down, 3 waves up. And your wave C is an impulse 1, 2, 1, 2, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. However, this is a very low possibility for a wave C because your wave C doesn't want to be, of course, triple 1, 2s, and one of them is very big 1, 2. And regarding the time, again, this is very long for the wave 2, right? We don't want to see a more than 5 to 6 times a wave 2 here for a wave 4. So it reduces so much the possibility as well. And therefore, the highest possibility which we are still having is, of course, this one where, of course, we might finish in a bear market here, a short-term bear market, and moving probably for a wave 5 still around 110 or 115K. And the other possibility is that, of course, the highest possibility again is that we have a finished bull run. And your finished bull run, you have double 1, 2s here, 3, 4, and a 5. And then of course you had a 4 and a 5 again to finish this wave 5 here in the yellow count, and of course finishing the bull run. And currently we are in several or triple 1-2s that we saw before for an expanding flat, but this time it is the same but for a bearish market, where it might of course have several targets. The first target of course is the W that we saw already in the previous scenario in a zigzag probably, and then moving toward the upside for final wave 5 by shifting of course this wave 5 to this side. The second scenario is of course to close your CME gap here, a very longer bearish market I would say, to close the CME gap and start of course a new bull run here from this price action, as we saw in the deep analysis on the weekly and the parabolic chart, that we are in a big 1-2 right now, and probably your wave 2 can start unfolding from this price action probably, so we have to be careful for it as well. A bigger bearish market, of course it can be of course a little bit deeper here, finishing an impulse correction and an impulse again toward the downside, of course until reaching the invalidation of bullish, signaling that okay, the bull run has totally finished and we have to start a new one from here. On the 1 hour chart here, we can see of course that we are still ranging after this move toward the downside on the Friday, and of course because we are in the weekend range, it was very expected that we might be in an impulse 1, 2, 3, and you are currently in your wave 4 for the weekend and ranging of course, and probably today afternoon start to move of course toward the downside of course, based on the European time afternoon. So these are the possibilities right now. So let's see of course now the indicators, how it works with these possibilities. As you can see on the RSI for the 1 hour chart, we don't have any signal of course of convergence or divergence as well. As you can see, the price action matching so much with the RSI as well. However, we of course still looking now for a kind of consolidation and sideways as well on the RSI. However, there is only one exactly one bullish signal here that it was given for the divergence. As you can see, you got one here, but it didn't of course give us a very strong move toward the upside. As you can see, it has made a curve and now it's still continuing toward the downside. This is the only scenario here that we have for the bullish, and of course if you are much more bullish, you would like to see continuation for higher prices. So on the 4 hour chart for the RSI here, we can see as well that we have a nice convergence from the top here, as you can see. Here we go. And this is an exhaustion of buyers, right? This is a very strong convergence, putting pressure for the sellers, and of course it's an exhaustion for the buyers, signaling of course for lower prices. And this still of course can have still a bigger effect on the RSI until of course get the oversold area probably for the next price action. If we take a look on the daily here, on the daily we have already seen this the last week of course, where we saw a kind of divergence here in the top, of course signaling again here we go, a exhaustion or even a bear market, right? Or the bull market that has finished, because this is a daily here, and of course signaling for some selling coming in and still working so far, still working. And the direction of the RSI with the price action is the same right now. It is toward the downside, signaling of course that we are still on the right direction. So still looking to the downside, right? So when we see the parallel here, it means of course that we are in the right direction. Let's take a look at the MACD. So on the MACD for the daily here, we are of course inside this of course bear trend toward the downside, where we see the lines of course of the trend is under the zero, and still of course here on the daily we see some kind of like, let me put this in a bigger view, kind of like a bullish cross, but it's not a confident bullish cross. And when we see this with the volume appearing here with a green volume This is not a good thing. It might repeat the same that you saw here exactly. And this is not a confident bullish signal, right? It's lack of confidence, and it shows that there is hesitation, of course, in the market for the bulls here. And of course, this, of course, might continue toward the downside, guys. So be careful from this. And don't forget that also the volume, as you can see on the MACD for the daily, for the buyers is shrinking down, of course, while the selling volume is almost the same. Yeah, it's almost stays the same. It is, of course, lowering down, but it is higher than the buyers, right? So let's see also on the 4-hour chart here. Important before, yeah, to the weekly. On the weekly is very, very critical. So as you can see on the weekly, we have a very clear, confident bearish cross, right? And this is the difference. And we can see, of course, yeah, probably a volume, red volume might start here to unfold, of course, and to bring this toward the downside. Yeah, so probably that's why, of course, this works with our probability 1 2 finished for a bear market here, right? We have to be careful with this scenario exactly. Yeah, so this works perfectly with this scenario. So yeah, we have to be careful with it. On the 4-hour chart here, we have also, yeah, we are moving toward the downside with an open trend to the zero, yeah, without retracement. Yeah, and this, of course, can lead to lower prices. It might create another volume here, yeah, and it merge, of course, until we see a bullish cross again. However, yeah, higher possibility, of course, for lower here, and obviously that the volume of the sellers is increasing, guys. So be careful, yeah, and taking the volume from here, while the volume of the buyers is still, of course, well, in this case here, it has increased, but obviously it was not enough, yeah. So it has moved down directly. So we have to be careful with it again, with this 4-hour chart on the MACD. As you can see on the 1-hour chart as well, we are in a bearish cross again. We are again in the bearish cross. And remember, when you see this signal from the MACD, where you see just 2 or 3 candles of volume on the MACD and start to see this again, that is not a good signal. It's a bearish signal, of course, and here we go, the bearish cross. It might move toward the downside again. So therefore, definitely we are still, of course, moving toward the downside, whether in a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, or it can be even a bigger zigzag toward the downside in our scenario for the bearish as well, which is exactly this one. Yeah, so this one. Yeah, so in case we are moving in a wave Y in a zigzag, so we need still one more leg toward the down. So as we can see on the volume, we have on the 1-hour chart a very high amount of volume inside this wave 1, 2, 3, which is of course your wave 3 highest amount of volume that we would like to see, and then A, B, and a C you would like to see again a higher volume, but not higher than your wave 3 for your wave 5. Unless, of course, we get higher. If we get a higher volume, it can transform into an A, B, and a C, probably finished wave C, or it can transform into a 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, because this becomes your highest amount of volume. So I have to be careful with it. However, higher possibility in case we get higher amount of volume here, it can turn into an ABC, guys. A higher possibility. And this gives a little bit a chance for the bullish here, because anyway, we need to retrace and then probably moving towards the downside again with a final wave and finishing a zigzag, zigzag, and a bigger zigzag here for WXY and start the bullish scenario from there. And this, of course, this scenario that I'm talking about was one more wave 5, probably, of course, in case we finish 3 structural waves here and moving for a wave 5. So on the KGT, we can see, of course, here some bullish signal, 15-minute chart. And this, of course, the CVD line is moving toward the downside, but here it becomes somehow very, very sideways. So if you take a little bit less, a weaker signal, as you can see, you got a bullish signal, but this was not really very strong divergence, and it didn't bring us really for higher prices. The strongest signal was of course given later on, of course, with a convergence from the top here, putting some selling pressure of course on the price action at this area and probably moving still toward the downside. Let's move to the 5-minute chart here. On the 5-minute chart, of course, we can see a little bit much closer and much clearer view and what it might happen in the next price. So we, as you can see with the bullish here signal, we don't see a divergence, a strong divergence. We see, of course, higher prices moving in a curve toward the downside. If you get a little bit less signals, again, we are getting here a kind of another bullish signal, but it's still not a very divergent. Yeah, so anyway, it's not the strongest, so the price needs definitely to move toward the downside to get a bullish signal, a stronger bullish signal, of course, and with a clearer divergence, unless we don't take the low here. If you take the low and you get the bullish signal, it's still gonna be a weak signal because it's gonna be invalidated once you take the low of it. And of course, as you can see here on the 5-minute chart, we still have some bearish, some bearish pressure. However, this bearish signal here was invalidated as well. As you can see, this is divergent in the bearish, which is not allowed for KGT, of course, for the bearish. So I would say, yeah, on KGT is still a little bit sideways. However, it says that it needs lower prices a little bit to get to a better bullish signal in case we are bullish. So you would like to see lower prices for a clear divergence and then moving toward the upside. On the Bollinger Bands for the 4-hour chart, which is perfect here, it is of course showing us a little bit the resistance and the support area for, of course, where are we in the price here. We are probably, of course, looking to stretch this Bollinger Bands, the lower part, probably, of course, moving toward the downside, at least in a wave 5, right? At least in a wave 5. And in this case scenario, you will move up again and, of course, probably finishing one more leg toward the downside, of course, which it can create a zigzag to finish our scenario here as a zigzag and another zigzag, or a bigger zigzag, and here a flat and another zigzag to finish W, X, and a Y in triple structures. Of course, as a recap, we can see, of course, that most of the indicators are still bearish and still looking for a lower, and based on our Elliott wave analysis, we might have, of course, a lower prices and probably, of course, one more leg toward the upside to be estimated, of course, and reanalyzed after getting this low if we are still bullish for one more leg toward the upside. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.